Over the past 70 days, a single thread has been quietly pulling the entire Middle East toward a breaking point. And here is the twist. Almost nobody covering this war has noticed it, not because it is hidden, but because everyone keeps looking in three different directions at once. Direction 1. Washington is preparing for the endgame. The final blow plan is live. Hypersonic missiles are being fueled. B-1B Lancers are circling. There is even talk of special forces launching the most daring raid since Abbottabad to seize Iran's uranium stockpiles before Tehran can blink. Direction 2. Iran is not collapsing. Somehow, despite the blockade, despite the airstrikes, despite losing its supreme leader on day one, Tehran is exporting more oil than before the war began. Missile factories are humming again. The IRGC is issuing threats with the confidence of a power that has not been cut off. Direction 3. China has vanished from the headlines. 70 days of thunderous silence. No diplomatic shuttles, no press conferences, no visible cost. Yet every day the stalemate continues. Beijing grows richer, more central, and more untouchable. Three directions, one battlefield. But here is what happens when you stop looking at them separately and start connecting the dots. You realize you are not watching three different stories. You are watching one hand of high-stakes poker, and only one player at the table is holding the trump card. That card is not in Tehran. It is not in Washington. It is sitting in Beijing. And once you see how China is holding it, the entire war flips inside out. Let me walk you through the illusion. America is escalating militarily, yes, but it is escalating against the wrong target. Iran is surviving financially, yes, but it is surviving through a pipeline that American bombs cannot reach. And China? China is not silent because it is absent. China is silent because it is the house, and the house always wins. The card is infrastructure, not diplomacy, not tanks, not speeches, infrastructure. Here's the question that should be keeping Pentagon planners awake. If everyone in Washington knows that Chinese Dark Fleet tankers are moving Iranian oil, that yuan payments are bypassing SWIFT, that Beijing's strategic reserves are absorbing the shock, why has nobody cut the cord? One word: cost. Not the cost of confronting China as a rival, the cost of confronting China as the world's manufacturer, as the holder of nearly $800 billion in US debt, as the host of a summit that could determine the next decade of trade, semiconductors, and Taiwan policy. To sanction the Chinese state banks propping up Tehran would be to detonate a financial bomb in the global economy. American allies would feel it. American corporations would feel it. Your mortgage rate would feel it. Washington has done the math. Taking the card costs more than playing without it. So the card stays in China's hand, and Iran keeps breathing. Now, what exactly does going all in look like when you cannot touch the opponent's oxygen supply? Picture three doors. Behind door 1, a hurricane of steel. Dark Eagle hypersonic missiles screaming across 2,000 miles to obliterate Iranian command centers, air defenses, and leadership compounds within 48 hours. More explosive power in 2 days than the previous 65 combined. Behind door 2, boots on the ground. American soldiers seizing the Strait of Hormuz itself, transforming a naval choke point into an occupation zone. The legal definition of the war changes instantly. Casualties become inevitable. Extraction becomes a political nightmare. Behind door 3, the vault. A special forces insertion into underground tunnels to seize 440 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium, material too deep for bunker busters, requiring boots, breath, and split-second precision in enemy territory. 3 doors, 3 levels of escalation. But here is the catch that changes everything. Behind none of these doors will you find a switch that turns off China's financial lifeline. The Dark Fleet loads in international waters. The yuan pipes run through digital channels. The leadership's personal wealth sits in accounts untouchable by American sanctions. You can bomb the military. You cannot bomb the banking. And that is why Iran's defiance feels almost supernatural. It is not. It is economic engineering. Let me show you the three pillars of Iran's invisible immunity. Pillar 1. The IRGC does not run on the official government budget. While the real crumbles and tax receipts dry up, the Revolutionary Guard operates a shadow commercial empire: construction, energy, import monopolies. Its funding flows through the same dark streams that carry the oil. Bomb the parliament, and the Guard still gets paid. Pillar 2. The missile rebuild you have been reading about, those components do not arrive by magic. They arrive because oil sold for yuan becomes credits spent with Chinese suppliers. The same system that pays for crude also arms the arsenal. Pillar 3. The men making the decisions, the commanders, the clerics, the connected elite, their personal fortunes are already parked in yuan, in Chinese real estate, in assets beyond the reach of American pressure. They feel the war differently than their citizens because their wallets are insulated by Beijing's architecture. China is not merely helping Iran survive. China has built a parallel economy that makes American military pressure feel like background noise. Now, the counter-argument. Surely, you might say, if America simply obliterated Iran's ability to pump oil, if Karg Island vanished, if Bandar Abbas burned, if the refineries became craters, then China's card becomes worthless. No product, no profit. Yes, the military capacity exists, but consider the price tag. Removing 1.84 million barrels per day from global markets permanently would send gasoline prices into the stratosphere. The 430 you see at the pump today would look like a fond memory. The political backlash would shake the American presidency. Washington knows this, so the infrastructure stays intact, and China's card stays valid. It is a perfect trap. China enables the flow constrains American targeting, and the constraint preserves the stalemate that benefits Beijing. So how does this end? Watch for three signals. They are your early warning system. Signal 1, the summit communique. Within 2 weeks, American and Chinese leaders will meet. The agenda says trade and chips. But scan the text for phrases like energy stability or supply chain integrity. That is diplomatic code. If those words appear, the card is being discussed in whispers. Signal 2, the target list. If the next wave of strikes includes Karg Island, the terminal that handles 90% of Iran's exports, then Washington has decided to pay the price. Watch for damage assessments mentioning loading infrastructure. Those words will signal a revolution in strategy. Signal 3, the invisible data. Track the dark fleet in the 2 weeks after the summit. If volumes drop without a single missile fired, China has folded its hand voluntarily. Beijing will never announce it, but the tanker trackers will scream it. Here is the final picture. America is burning through $25 billion and priceless political capital to fight a war where the decisive weapon is not a bomb or a battleship. It is a banking network. China has not fired a shot, has not spent a dollar on military aid, has not even made a controversial UN speech, yet China is the kingmaker. In game theory, the kingmaker does not win the war. The kingmaker decides who wins without entering the field. China built the rails before the war started. It is collecting tolls while the war rages. And it will own the reconstruction contracts regardless of whether Tehran surrenders or survives. This is not a metaphor. It is the operational reality of 70 days of conflict where one side spends billions and the other spends nothing, yet benefits either way. The unreachable card remains unreachable, not because it is defended by armies, but because taking it would require America to sacrifice its relationship with the world's second superpower. And in 2 weeks, at that summit, the question will finally land on the table. Did the military escalation work? Did Iran blink before the meeting? If not, then Washington must do what it has avoided for 70 days. Look across the table and ask Beijing to put the card down. That request, quiet, unreported, but monumental, will determine whether this war ends with the American victory, a Iranian survival, or a Chinese coronation as the silent sovereign of the Middle East. Iran holds the territory, America holds the firepower, but China holds the card, and the card is everything.